And I think this is way off topic.
Sure.
Because you know that I'm a big fan of Lord of the Rings.
Oh, yeah.
And The Hobbit. And I was trying to have this. I was having a conversation with some guys about this. I was like, they just don't make stuff like this anymore, and I can't put my finger on what it is about it that is different about it.
You're such an old curmudgeon.
Yeah, well,
movies, books, they're all trash.
Well, it wasn't that what is made now isn't artistically good,
Sure,
or even artistically pleasing, but it doesn't evoke an emotion the way these do.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean.
But I can't like comprehend what it is that it is. And so one of those guys sent me a podcast, and where they interviewed the guy who wrote a book, and it was The Virtues of the Hobbits. And what he was breaking down, and I was like, that is it, is, The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit is not allegory.
Right.
I've had people tell me that it's allegory.
Sure.
But it's not actually allegory.
Sure.
But it is virtue ethics.
Sure.
Right. And it displays and like maps out, these are what virtues look like. Right. And there's so much good overlapment with what the Bible teaches
100% right
about virtue, right? And I'm trying to remember why I got into this conversation with you, but
you just want to bring up Lord of the Rings, right?
It was what it came down to was virtues.
Right.
We don't value virtues anymore, and we no longer. Okay, so here's a great example: honor.
Right.
Okay, we don't value honor the way we used to.
Right.
And in some cases, rightfully so, because the new trope. So the trope used to be. Do honor even in the face of death.
Right.
Be honorable in the face of death, because it would be better to die honorably than to live dishonorably.
Right, 100% right.
But the modern virtue is life is more important than honor.
Honor, 100%.
Because what is the point of being honorable if you're not around?
If you're not around to receive it, yeah.
To experience the honor. But see, the virtue of honor had nothing to do with what you received for being honorable.
Right.
At least not within this life.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? So I think in a modern sensibility, we've kind of cast off some of these virtues and some of these ideas. And so we don't value things like joy anymore.
Well, we subjectified it, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you just said, like we've subjectified honor. Like, well, what is, like use Tolkien as an example. Like, in The Lord of the Rings, there's clearly a value, a moral of honor that was kind of universally in that context, universally understood. They had that mindset of like, it's more honorable to die doing what is right than to do what's wrong and live.
Yeah.
And so like. We subjectified that. So now your honor and my honor don't look the same. Your love and my love don't look the same. Your joy and my joy,
Yeah. So let me give another example that kind of brings it back to the joy and is more in the modern sense. Children. Okay. And this was something I experienced with my children, especially my first child.
Sure.
Was seeing them be joyful.
Right.
Okay. And seeing how they found joy in different aspects of life that I didn't find. And one of the reasons why I didn't find it, because I didn't value the joy as much as I valued my appearance. Right. Because in a modern, especially if you grew up in the 90s, like we kind of passed through this era where it was uncool to be joyful. It was uncool to show excitement.
Right. It was cool. The cool thing to do was not care.
Was to be apathetic.
Yeah.
Which was because the people that we, music really took over a lot of our lives.
Sure.
And especially in the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
With grunge and the direction of rock and roll and all those things, the frontmen were not good people, and they didn't have good have good lives.
Right.
And so, like, what they personified was living an existence that was devoid of things like joy. Right. And so I know I'm getting super philosophical here.
Rick Astley knew joy. You're never going to give. I mean, look at that guy just in that, just man, snapping and dancing.
That is joy. That's why I think, Dave Grohl is the guy who experiences joy.
100%.
Right. So it's not that it's non-existent.
Right.
It's just, it doesn't come out the way maybe it did in the old days. Also, because the source of joy is different than what we see in the Bible.
Well, and that's what gets me too, is it's really interesting just in the Oxford definitions. Like, usually you can go to the dictionary and it gives you a good definition, but joy is one of those ones that you go to and you're kind of like, well, that seems underwhelming.
It's very
like you're kind of like, but yet Oxford, and I'm not knocking Oxford, they're just using what the world defines as. And so to me, that says something. If joy is underwhelming, that means humanity's definition is underwhelming. So you can't use humanity's definition of joy.
Yeah.